What's up, y'all? This is Mike Pyatt, and you're now chilling on half. Sorry for the delay in the next episode, man. I'm living life. I got a full-time job. I'm married. Last week I had to help out with some kids with my folks, and yeah, just was super busy. But I'm back. I'm back, and I'm here to talk about some Washington football. As far as training camp 2020 goes, it's hard because we're getting very limited updates as fans. Outside a few tweets and press conferences, it's not really much for me to talk about as far as training camp goes. But the Washington team being who the Washington team is, we do have some things to talk about. The most unbelievable thing that's happened since the last episode is the Derrius Guice situation. So for those who don't know, he was arrested on Friday. He turned himself in Loudoun County, Virginia's police department. He was allegedly the attacker in a domestic violence case. Apparently, he choked a woman 3 times. And the woman says, no. Let me repeat that. He didn't choke her 3 times. I think there were 3 cases of domestic violence. One of the time included a strangulation that the woman says put her unconscious. So it was horrible. It was horrible when the news broke. The news kept getting worse by the second, it felt like. And I remember it was this past Friday. We were about to have a party over my house, and I saw the story broke. I saw that the story had broke, and I was like, oh man, that's crazy. I went and vacuumed my living room for the upcoming party, and by the time I was finished, he was cut. He was cut, man. He was cut. But considering the circumstances, it had to be done. It had to be done. He's been doing a lot of things that have rubbed people the wrong way before he was drafted into the NFL. So the fact that he's not even playing consistently, I think he's only played in about 5 career games maybe. It's not that much, no matter how many it is. It's not a lot. I think he has less than 70 carries in his career. I'm not saying those carries were trash, but it seems like he's a trash human being based on his history and this event that has transpired. And I believe it transpired over a few months, as early as February 2020. It's just horrible. And he had to go. And I understand that the football team signed Reuben Foster a few years ago amidst allegations of domestic violence. That wasn't really cool either. That was not cool either. But it did come out that the victim may have fabricated that's the story against Reuben Foster. So therefore, Ron Rivera felt like the situations were different. He also said in his press conference Monday that he's taken each case individually. And I always felt like that's what you had to do. That's what you had to do in these situations. You have to take them on a case-by-case basis. And I feel like with the technology we have in 2020 and the resources that we have in 2020, that we are able to do so in a case-by-case basis. Right now, I think the Redskins have 3 situations on their hand with Derrius Guice, who they released, Reuben Foster, who he served his time, basically. He served his time for the allegations that was against him, and now he's able to play. Actually, for those that don't know, he's coming off the PUP list and should be practicing this week. And that's a huge boost to the linebacker core, and we're going to definitely talk about that later this episode. But as far as the third person, Cody Latimer, I believe his situation was weird too. but he has been put on the commissioner's exempt list, so he won't be able to do anything pretty much until he comes off that list. But his situation wasn't cut and dry, and we knew this heading into training camp, that even though he has been accused of 3 felonies, there's some backstory to that. One of the stories that I've heard was that he was defending this child against a molester or something to that fact, but I'm not going to speculate. I'm just saying that you have to take these cases base by base. I mean, I'm sorry, not base by base. Think about music. Case by case, man. Case by case. You have to take these situations case by case. And in Derrius Guice situation, it was a open and shut case. He had to go. It's that simple. There was also more news with the Washington football team since our last episode, and that was Alex Smith being placed on the PUP list. I know we just talked about Reuben Foster coming off it, but that same day, I believe Alex Smith was placed on the list. So it created a mini quarterback controversy in my eyes. People felt like if he was able to play, that he may be able to push Haskins for starting quarterback. And I'm just telling y'all, seeing what I saw from Haskins to end the season, and seeing what I saw from Alex Smith, his 9 games with the football team, no. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. On top of that, have you seen Alex Smith's leg? Have you seen his leg? Nobody is going to play that man if they don't have to. And I believe they don't, because Haskins, for lack of a better term, he's been killing it. He's been killing it since he's become the Redskins starting quarterback. There's really nothing that I've seen from him that makes me worry about his future. As of right now, there's really nothing that I've seen from him that makes me worry about his future. He started last season. I believe his first start was in Buffalo, against Buffalo, obviously. He started that game. It wasn't the best game. No, hold on. Was it Buffalo? No, I think his first, wait a minute. Yeah, it was Buffalo. His first start was against Buffalo, and then I believe the following game was against the Jets. Don't quote me on that. It could be vice versa. All I know is between the Buffalo game and the Jets game, he looked like a rookie quarterback. He looked like a rookie quarterback, and it was just something that I had to accept in my mind, that I'm watching a rookie quarterback. He's making rookie mistakes. There are some things that other quarterbacks would have done that he didn't, because he doesn't know what to do yet. And I remember that Lions game, bro. That Lions game last year in the first quarter, or maybe even the first half, maybe the first 3 quarters, I was done with Haskins. I was so done, because I felt like the passes that he was throwing earlier in that game were wide open passes that he simply could not connect on. I was done with him. But he figured it out. And in that Lions game, and Ron Rivera talk about it all the time, so you can tell how good it was. But in that Lions game, Haskins' last drive, he wanted to win. He wanted to win, and when I saw that, I knew that we had a QB that we can build on. He might not came in with as much hype as RG3, but I feel like his canvas is way bigger than the canvas that the team had with RG3. I believe that they really can create a beautiful picture with Haskins compared to the skill set that RG3 had coming into college. And me being 8 years wiser, I can see the differences between when RG3 came into the league and when Haskins came to the league. RG3 was a sprinter, mobile quarterback type that depended a lot on gadget plays to move the ball up the field. At that time, the Redskins offensive coaches, Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan, basically created the offense around him using the read option out of the pistol formation. 2012 week 1, they killed the Saints with that one formation, that one read option pass. They killed the Saints. But with Haskins, you don't have to do that. You can plan a regular, typical NFL offense and allow him to distribute the ball in ways that RG3 couldn't. And we'll talk about it, believe me, we'll talk about that more along the way. But as of now, just comparing Haskins to Alex Smith, there's just no way that I'll comfortably say that he's ready to overtake Haskins this early back, or at all, because of his leg. It was a horrible injury. I hope he does end up becoming healthy enough to play again, because that'll be a spectacular comeback. But I just can't see it, man. And I just hope, if it does happen, that nothing horrible happens to Alex Smith, because he seems like a cool dude. And the last thing I wanted to talk about this segment was the NFL Top 100. There was no Washington football team players in the top 100 of the NFL this year, and I'm used to it. It's when you're a bad team and a bad organization with bad representation, you're not going to get the representation that you want in national media. You're not going to get the love that other teams are shown, because you don't deserve it, pretty much. Even though I do feel like that, hands down, Terry McLaurin was the best rookie receiver last year. Pro Football Focus said it was the best rookie wide receiver season since Odell Beckham in 2014. But DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks was the only rookie to make the list of the NFL Top 100 players. Honestly, Metcalf was the third best rookie wide receiver to me. A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans was robbed too. He could have easily been on that list over DK Metcalf. But, like I said, DK Metcalf plays for the Seahawks. Right now, the Seahawks are more visible than the Washington football team and the Tennessee Titans. So, therefore, based on that case alone, I can see why Metcalf was on that top 100 list, whereas McLaurin and Brown weren't. But like I said, that's what happens when you're a 3-13 football team. And next year, I think maybe 3 to 5 could make it. Maybe 3 to 5 can make it. I would say the 5 candidates off the top of my head: McLaurin, obviously number 1. Terry McLaurin should make the list next year. I can feel confident in saying that. Chase Young obviously could make the list, along with Deron Payne, Landon Collins, and is Montez Sweat, man. Montez Sweat. I think those 5 are the strongest candidates to make the NFL Top 100 next year. And that's the first segment, y'all. It was a lot of information I threw at y'all. I hope you were able to pick up some of it and enjoyed it. But next segment, I believe, will be even better than this segment, because we're going to actually talk about even more Washington football. I have some thoughts about the receivers that I wanted to run past y'all, and the linebacker competition. It should be fierce. It should be fierce. But I'm Mike Pyatt, and you're chilling on half. What's up, y'all? This is Mike Pyatt, and you're back to Chillin on Half. And like I said, it was just something I wanted to run past y'all about the Redskins. I'm sorry, the Washington football team receivers for the upcoming 2020 season. I think that this season, the Washington football team projected wide receiver trio could match one of my favorite receiving trios over the last decade. And that is Mike Wallace, Antonio Brown, and Emmanuel Sanders from the Pittsburgh Steelers, also known to some as the Young Money Crew. I remember them, man. That was my squad, man. Mike Wallace was fast as a mug. Antonio Brown was just killing people underneath. And Emmanuel Sanders was kind of doing it all over the field. And Big Ben was tossing that thing around. He was tossing that thing around. And I remember they had a tight end, and Heath Miller too, who was eating up a lot of yards. He actually finished second on the team that year in receiving yards. But as far as the Young Money Crew receivers themselves, in that year, Mike Wallace had 836 yards, Antonio Brown had 787 yards, and Emmanuel Sanders had 626 yards, for a total of 2,189 yards for that 2012 season. Now, like I said, I'm only making this comparison on stats, production, not necessarily skill for skill, because we know as of right now that the Young Money Crew obviously is the more skillful trio, but I'm comparing them in their younger years with the football team receivers in their younger years, which is the current right now. But I feel like the 2,189 yards that the Steelers trio produced in 2012 could be equaled by the Washington football team. And I say that because last year, McLaurin had 919 yards on his own. Harmon, who was basically invisible until late in the season, finished the year with 365 yards. And Sims Jr. finished with 310 yards for a total of 1,594 yards. So, like I said, I feel like the Redskins trio could match what the Steelers trio did in 2012. Now, even before the injury, I thought Antonio Gandy Golden had a good chance to start over Kelvin Harmon, because I simply believe that he would have been the better receiver because of his frame and his big playability. Of course, it's nowhere near a lock that these receivers will produce what the Steelers did in 2012. A lot is dependent on Haskins. Also, the style of the offense, and the team wants to run. The team wants to run a lot. Like, we know that. Even with the loss of Derrius Guice, the team will run a lot this year. But I also feel like that they'll throw just as much. And I believe that they will trust Haskins a little bit more than what our older coaches trusted our younger receivers. I believe Haskins will let it fly a bit more. And yeah, that's just how I'm feeling. I really think that the Redskins 2020 receiver trio can match what the Steelers did in 2012. And the next topic we're going to talk about is the linebacker competition. And the question is, who will start at linebacker? At a press conference on Monday, Ron Rivera was like, there could be linebackers who play in the base and completely different players in the sub packages. So explaining on that a little bit, when he said that there's going to be some linebackers that plays in the base defense, he's talking about the traditional 4-3 defense where you have 4 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers. He says that there could be 3 linebackers playing in that formation and the sub formation, which would most likely be the nickel defense, where instead of 3 linebackers and 4 defensive linemen, you only have 2 linebackers, because the third linebacker would be replaced by the nickel cornerback and the nickel. So he's saying that there could be 5 separate linebackers for that position, whereas most teams only plays their 2 best pass coverage linebackers and the nickel from their base 4-3 defense. I hope you know what I'm trying to say there. So because multiple linebackers could play in multiple packages, I do feel like the linebacker core would be a rotation sort of this year for the 2020 season. But with that in mind, I think the starters will be Thomas Davis, Reuben Foster, and Cole Holcomb and a base package. And for that sub package that was mentioned, I believe that will probably most likely be Reuben Foster and Sean Dion Hamilton, simply because in a base 4-3 defense, you want your linebackers to cover the entire field pretty much. not the deep end, because the safeties and corners will have that, but everything under that, the linebackers need to just absolutely destroy on the play. Anything that's under 10 yards, they should be able to shut down immediately, effectively, if they're capable linebackers and a base defense. For the nickel sub package, the reason, like I said earlier, the reason it's only 2 linebackers is because there's a third cornerback on the field, which is referred to as the nickelback, the slot cornerback to some now. So because of that, the 2 linebackers have a little bit more field to cover. Therefore, you're going to want to have your 2 best pass coverage linebackers out there. That's why I feel like Sean Dion Hamilton and Reuben Foster may be the best 2 for that situation. And as I mentioned earlier, I believe the linebackers will rotate a lot. People forget that Washington signed former Chicago Bears linebacker Kevin Pierre-Louis, who isn't a beast or anything, but he should be able to produce in this defense if he's needed. One thing I also like is they'll be coached very, very well. We know about Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio and their defensive coordinator success, their head coaching success. But some don't know that both of these players were also linebackers in the 80s. Decent linebackers at that. Ron Rivera won the Super Bowl and was a member of the 1985 Chicago Bears defense. And for those who don't know, that defense is arguably the best defense of all time. They shut stuff down that year. So you have those 2 coaches. But the linebackers coach, I like him. I like Steve Russ, man. He seems like he's a great teacher and a perfect type of coach to complement Del Rio and Rivera, who are great teachers as well. I thought the weakness in this defense could be linebackers, but with the great coaches around them and some workable pieces, it could end up becoming the strength of the team. I'm not saying they're going to be like the Seattle Seahawks or the 49ers linebackers over the last 10 years. I don't think any of those players are a Bobby Wagner type, a Luke Kuechly type, etc. But I do feel like in this defense, they will be able to produce because they have a nasty defensive line in front of them and a not too bad secondary behind them. So with the great teaching and the great coaching with the pieces around them, I feel like linebacker isn't as weak as I thought it would be heading into the 2020 season. And finally, man, in the last segment, we're going to talk about the NBA bubble. I've been having so much fun watching the games, man. Sometimes they come on during the day. I still haven't had a chance to catch any of the day games yet. But the evening games and the night games have been fire. We just watched one yesterday that was good, and I might mention it in the next segment, but for now, you're chilling with Mike, man. You're chilling on Half, man. You're chilling everywhere. You're chilling on Apple Podcasts. You're chilling on Spotify. Chilling on YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Just thanks for chilling with me, and I'll be right back. Welcome back, y'all, and if you made it this far, I really appreciate it. And I also want to encourage you to follow me on Twitter at Mike from SW. Again, that's at Mike from Southwest on Twitter, because I don't talk a lot on there, but I like interacting with people, and it's cool. It's cool. But for the last segment, we're just going to talk about the NBA bubble. It's been a wild time, man, as expected. So much stuff is happening. You had Lou Williams going to a strip club allegedly. Well, not allegedly. We all know he did it. We all know he did it now, man. And it's crazy because one of the strippers snitched on him. He said that he was going to get wings and that the wings were delicious. One of the strippers said that he actually tipped her really well, man. And I just feel like that's messed up. Like, how you just gonna snitch that man out like that? But that was just one of the stories going on inside the NBA off the basketball court. On the basketball court, though, you've been seeing a heck of talent everywhere, from Devin Booker to T.J. Warren. Lillard has been killing in the bubble. And speaking of Devin Booker, the Suns are 6-0 right now. The Suns are 6-0, and if the Trailblazers have a hiccup, or if the Spurs have a hiccup, they'll be playing the Grizzlies in the play-in tournament for the 8th spot in the West. And that's just amazing, and it goes to show you just how lethal that Suns team could be when all the pieces are working together. They have Devin Booker. They have Beast and Deion with Ayton. So watch out for them. I know we want to get Booker out of Phoenix, but that might be the place for him for real. But it is one thing I want to talk about concerning the NBA, and it was the topic was brought up to me by someone from the sports group on Facebook, Run Your Mouth. He asked me, do I think this is the Lakers' best chance at a title? This could be LA's best, not only, but best shot at a title. It's not ridiculous to think. The West is loaded. There's a bunch of teams out there, even young teams. Like I just said, the Suns, they're growing. They have ballers on their team. The Grizzlies with Ja Morant, like, they're in the playoffs right now and could potentially face the Lakers in the first round. And you got the Pelicans too, man. Plus, who knows what piece the Warriors will get in this draft. They will get a top 4 pick. I can guarantee that. They could get the number 1 pick. This could be the equivalent when the Celtics added Larry Bird to their dynasty. We don't know that. I'm not saying whoever they draft would be Bird, but we're talking about potentially adding a top 4 player in the draft to the Golden State Warriors. But the Lakers are top heavy more than most teams. The key to their entire playoff run, not only this year, but for the foreseeable future, will be if someone can slow down AD and LeBron. And if they are able to, who will be that Laker that'll step up for them? We don't know that right now, and that's what we'll find out in the playoffs. Or we'll even find out if there's a third Laker that need to step up, because AD and LeBron, they've been playing so well. Now, last night they were struggling against the Nuggets B squad, I feel like, in the fourth quarter. But they found a way to pull off and get the 1-point win. And it's just, it was a good game to watch. It was a good game to watch. And I feel like great announcers are important during the bubble. I had my man Kevin Harlan last night, and it was a good game, but it was enhanced by his emotions. They'll carry more, and hopefully when the playoffs start, things will get even more intense. But so far, I like the bubble, man. It just feels like I'm watching the best pickup games in the world. Like I'm sitting down at Roundels down Southwest on the bleachers, waiting for my turn. But I don't want to play because the games in front of me are so fire that I'll just rather watch than embarrass myself on the court. I never embarrass myself. I'm a baller for real on the low. Nah, I'm serious. I do ball. But as for the Wizards, that's all the time we have on this episode of the Chillin or Have podcast. My name is Mike Pyatt, and I'm going to talk to y'all later, man. Good evening, good afternoon, good night. Peace out.